Tell me if that looks good.
All right, it should be on. It should be on YouTube. I should be on VTF. But I still got a little over a minute. I'm early for once. Man, this market is so scary to me right now. I'll talk about it in the meeting in a minute. Thank you, Jared. Did Zoom just have earnings? I didn't realize that. All right, it's 10 after. Let's start. I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA SIPC. All trades placed by me are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Paired out of a couple of my long positions, so a couple less names in there. Half seriously considering, honestly, exiting almost everything I'm in. I really don't like this market. I was saying it all last week too. There's something wrong with this market, and the fear that I have is kind of coming together, which is that this market already felt broken to me. I was saying it like every day last week. Like, yeah, okay, fine. These big tech names are still running, so the SPYs and the Qs are still intact, and we've seen this happen before, where breadth has deteriorated. The IWM has been relatively weak. The SPYs and the Qs managed to be strong. And then eventually they just maintain that strength and the bull market kind of continues. But it just, I don't know. It feels different this time. Qs have had such a huge run coming into today, and they were extended to the upside, which is exactly what we were talking about in the morning meeting. The S&P looks normal and bullish, right? It's just been grinding higher last week, even if breadth is weak and there's some things under the surface that are worth being concerned about. You got that. But the Qs are so strong because of Apple and Tesla and to a degree Amazon, though Amazon wasn't great on Friday, that the Qs are actually extended to the upside. But the IWM is almost like I'm looking for an oversold bounce. And I can't remember seeing that too many times in the past, where I'm looking at the NASDAQ here, which is literally extended to the upside, and the IWM trying to figure out if we can get an oversold bounce and get the IWM back above 234. At 234, I thought was a key spot for us to recapture today, and it looked like we were going to recapture it for most of the day. Like, we opened up there. We opened up at, the 234. Fine, they filled the gap. Was relatively weak pre-market. But when we broke this opening high here and recaptured 234, I was like, I think we got it. Though still concerned by the Qs and their degree of extension. And then when the market started pulling back here at 10 after 11, and the Qs had a much bigger pullback, right? Qs went back to lows, and to me the Qs look like they wanted a lot lower. But you can see here at 10 after 11 how much this IWM was trying to hold up. That is exactly what I was looking for. So my fear, and this is kind of what I was just alluding to, some of these stocks are already just so beaten up, and I'm looking for bounces in them. But my fear is that they can't get a bounce, because in markets that sell off, they sell off everything. So I want to be looking at, and I am looking at, where's my mouse? Some of these names, like PayPal for a bounce, Snap for a bounce. Twitter for a bounce. Fubo for a bounce. DKNG for a bounce. Penn for a bounce. Zillow for a bounce. Peloton for a bounce. SoFi, I know it had a secondary, but that was when the stock was at 23 for a bounce. And there's there's a lot more. Palantir for a bounce. Jumai maybe for a bounce. These stocks, every single one I just typed up, and there's a lot more, are just so gross. They're like super oversold. That some of these, like, look at this Fubo, straight down. They've just been straight down. DKNG, like straight down. Some of these are just so bad, and they're extended to the downside that I'm like waiting for the Red Dog reversal, Oldensmith overthrow, capitulation buy setup, something like that to come in, and I'm like not even asking for much, but it's the thing about it is it's not like we're in the coronavirus crash right now. Though some of these stocks look like it. It's not what we're in. We're not even in a market that's corrected 12% from highs and has relatively weak stocks that are down 25, 30%, which is normal. We're in a market where the S&P and the NASDAQ made all-time highs today, and these stocks are this destroyed. So, and this has really been the conundrum of this market, which has been both difficult and frustrating. And I was frustrated last week for sure, and really very concerned last week, concerned with kind of the underlying price actions of some of those stocks that I was going over, because it's like on the one hand I'm like, all right, I really want to try to find that oversold balance, and we had a couple of good trades and a couple of those names I just called out today. PayPal still closed a little bit of a tail until the massive sell-off in the last 15 minutes of the day today. It looked like some of these stocks are actually going to stage little decent daily hammers for the first time that would indicate a bigger bounce. But the concern that I keep having in my head, and it really kind of hit here, was that if the SPYs and the Qs roll over, which I kind of think that they should, what does it mean for the stocks that are already weak? Does it mean that they just are able to go sideways? Probably not. Because when the market sells indiscriminately. It's like everything must go. And, it kind of seemed like we saw that. Like some of these names here we were looking at to stage a bounce. I mean, there were some okay trades in PayPal today. I know guys are in DKNG. I was trading this Fubo, and it looked decent at certain points today. I know some of you guys were trading it with me. This market then just got really bad. I guess a couple of good things. For one, for whatever it's worth, I know some of you guys listened to me. I perfectly called the top, like pretty much perfectly. I came out on this 5-minute bar, and I was like, guys, I think this is a great opportunity right now to short some TQQQ, specifically if you can do it as a hedge, if you've got longs on. And that obviously worked out really well for anybody who took it. And then I said here at noon, when we were making lows and we had this big hammer here on high volume, I was like, guys, I really don't think this is the dip. I really don't think this is the dip to buy. And then I was like, okay. And then at 3 o'clock, I was like, oh, I was wrong. Yeah, I told everybody like an idiot that this is not a dip to buy, even though it was extended. SPYs filled their gap. It's a high volume hammer candlestick for the SPYs. It's a high volume hammer candlestick for the Qs, even though I like the Qs the least on that pullback. It's a high volume tail here into negative territory for the IWM. And I said in the VTF that I think I typed it into the VTF. I was like, I really don't think that this is like a dip to buy. I didn't think we were done selling. And then by 3 o'clock, I was like, okay, we're wrong. Look at this. IWM recaptured 234. I'm going to get that 234 recapture that I want. And Qs are relatively weak, but they bounce back. And that's actually also what I want. Because I want some mean reversion. I want the IWM to catch up and the Qs to be a little bit relatively weak. And that'll satisfy this problem that I've been seeing with the market all of last week. And SPY's also staged a great snapback. It seems like the SPYs always do well, right? Wherever the relative strength goes, it seems like the SPYs are kind of always the benefactor of that, and they're able to hold up. So by 3 o'clock, I'm telling myself, okay, I was wrong. And then we started this pullback on this bounce again. I was like, okay, we're pulling back a little bit more than we should here at 335. And then imbalances really started to hit and take hold, and then this sell-off just was brutal in the last 20 minutes of the day, which honestly, this is what I thought was going to happen. I just really thought, I'm thrown for a loop by some of these names that are just so beaten up into the move. Like, again, like these daily charts and some of these stocks, man, it's like, this PayPal was already down from $310 just this summer, just a couple months ago, to $230. Then it reports earnings reports, and its earnings report, and it gets destroyed even further. This Zillow was already down from a bubble high of $200 to this $100 area, just to get cut in half again post earnings. But even post the earnings report, they gapped this thing down to 74 post earnings. And was that earnings, or was that the day that they announced that they were taking a loss on all those houses? I forget. But 74 down to 53 is ruthless. This Coursera I like to look at in the education space these last 4 days here. I mean, talking about a move coming into today with the market still making all-time highs every day. We're looking at a move from 37 to 30 in 4 days here. This DKNG, which I've day traded on a few occasions and made money and gotten out of the way. We were looking at the support resistance, right? Support at 48, resistance at 50. Which one's going to break? Okay, support broke. Okay, fine. Support on DKNG here is breaking at $48 in the beginning of this month. But stock going from $48 where it's breaking support to 36 in a half a month when the market's making all-time highs every day. It's like okay, like something's just wrong with this market. And we've got Tesla and we've got Apple, and those are continuing to make highs. Those are holding things up, and Amazon is improving, and Facebook is trying to get back above resistance, and Microsoft and Google are beastie as they always are, and that's really holding everything up because it's so market cap weighted. But the degree of the weakness in some of these other names, it's really goes back to that meeting that we did the other afternoon with like the Tale of Two Cities kind of idea. And my big concern is that if we got a sell signal for the SPYs or the Qs, which we definitely got today, is the IWM and some of these names that are already ruthlessly brutalized going to be able to hold up. And it seems like any attempt that like Fubo made today, and it's tried to be really strong here, they're building out this bullish consolidation pattern on an intraday basis, and then like this thing, or DKNG, same thing. I know DKNG actually ended up closing okay, but DKNG doing like a Oldensmith overthrow through yesterday's low on the second bar of the day, and now it's making highs, and this thing's looking like it wants to give a snap back to $41 or something like that on the daily. We started seeing bullish option flow come in like pins today in a decent way. You can see this pins on the intraday here, how this pins is rounding up. This pins I thought was going to end up giving a nice tail back above support. Thanks for that, Steve. I gotta remember to do that for the YouTube. For some reason, my full screen doesn't broadcast onto the YouTube, so I gotta remember to not show the outsides of it. So thanks for the heads up there, Steve. But anyway, some of these names look like they really wanted to round out, right? This pins is trying to round up, gets hit with the bullish option flow, but you look at the daily chart, it still didn't give the tail. Like I really wanted this thing to tail back above $44. And then you could be looking at a Twitter for the same thing. Like this Twitter we know is brutal, and it's trying to round up. I think we might have seen some bull flow in this too. I don't remember for it to do that. And then, you know, just this market sell-off in the end of the day just destroyed the hopes and dreams of any of these beaten up stocks that were trying to round out and create a bottom. So, yeah, this is just, I really don't like this price action right now, broadly for the marketplace here. There were a couple pockets of things that were worth, you know, looking at today. Very, very few pockets. This WeWork gave a great bounce back to $10, and honestly, even this WeWork didn't close as well as I wanted it to. I really wanted this thing to close at $9.75. I think that the market actually weighed on it. $10 is going to be big resistance for this, but had good news on Friday. It had more good news today. I think Hedgeye is going to come out with more information on it tomorrow. So that looked good. And honestly, this Bed Bath & Beyond closed above $24 today, which is huge. 24 has been that big level that just hasn't been able to close above, you know, 3 days in a row, giving us a full start above 24. And then even with that market sell-off into the close, this Bed Bath & Beyond held up really well and closed above $24. So there were definitely some pockets of things to focus on. Some of you guys are focused on that crazy stock. I already forget the symbol into the close earlier. So yeah, LGVN. So there were still pockets to make money in, but man, just look at the damage on some of these charts though. We knew Apple was super extended, but look at this shooting star. That's really gross. Look at what Amazon just did. This is from our leaders, right? Amazon put in the shooting star on Friday. Okay, fine, it's a little bit extended, but very, very weak. Right back to the breakout spot. The breakout spot on Amazon is $35.50, I think. So we don't want Amazon to lose $35.50. We don't want it to lose the low of the breakout day, which is exactly what happened with the IWM. The IWM lost the low of the breakout day, and that's why I was like, oh, 234. Or are we going to get the close above 234? It looks like we're going to get the close above 234. And then it's gone. AMD's daily chart. Look at this damage from today. Breakout failure on AMD, inside and up failure on AMD. SPYs here, just not a great candle. Breakout failure to all-time highs. Qs as well. I guess to not overly read into it, Qs did close right at the ADMA. Their uptrend is still intact, but this just is not a good-looking candle as the volume is picking up. And that's the SPYs and the IWM just couldn't do what it needed to do today either. And, then you got stocks like Roblox, which, Roblox was due for this pullback. I was really trying to warn you guys not to come in and buy this thing too early today. I think I said it a number of times in the VTF. Like, guys were looking at this thing at 128, thinking that they were buying a dip. And I'm like, 128 is not a dip. I don't care that this thing just pulled back from 140 to 128 intraday. This is not a dip. You, at best, start looking at this thing at 120. And, pulled directly into the ADMA here on the daily. But this is a terrible candle for Roblox. It's a negative Maribozu on high volume. It's going to take a lot of time for this Roblox to heal. You don't want to just jump into these things on their first down day. You have to have perspective on all this stuff, even the indices, on where things have kind of come from. So I'm not surprised by this move at all. I actually thought it was coming. It doesn't mean that I'm still not slightly frustrated by it. So I felt like some of these things I was looking at today were trying to be really productive, and then they failed. Like my fight trainer used to always say, trying is failing with honor. Some of these things tried to be really productive today, and they failed. But how are they not going to fail when the market does this into the close? Look at that SPY 5-minute chart here, selling off in the close. It's just not good. So I'm really concerned about this market. I mean, we do have some seasonality on our side here, though it's not something I ever like to count on the side of the bulls. December tends to be a strong month. It tends to actually be particularly, the one thing that's interesting about seasonality for right now is that the Russell is usually the leading index in December, and the Russell here is the one that has been so relatively weak. So maybe there's a chance, bigger picture, not just one day like today, but over the course of now to the end of the year, that these Qs have a little bit more of corrective price action while this IWM holds up. But I won't hold my breath. Also forgot to turn my video on. Sorry, I'm hyped up today, guys. I'm hyped up. So I didn't have my charts the right size. I didn't turn my video on. I'm just kind of hyped up by today's price action. There was a lot of opportunity. This is really good volatility. Just pretty crazy price action. That's all I got. That is all I got. So I'm happy to take a look at what you guys got, question-wise. First, yeah, Chinggis, you gotta email either Pat if you have direct Lightspeed questions or the trade support team at T3 Trading Group. Don't reach out to Lightspeed directly; they're not gonna help. All right, looking through the VTF here. Everyone's telling me that they can't see the ticker symbols in the YouTube. I'm sorry about that. Viacom and Discovery had a bounce today? I guess so. This is destroyed also. Get this grind lower. The fundamental guys, they liked this thing at 40. Now it's at 33.50. Oops, I just moved my moving average. Yeah, I guess a little bit of a tail there for Viacom. What did it do into the close? Yeah, this is another one where if the market just went sideways into the close, this thing probably would have given an even better looking candle. What about Discovery? Yeah, this is okay, I guess. Gabriel's saying that he shorted TQQQ at the high as a hedge, but it became his best name on the day. It's good stuff. From Jonathan, think Zillow move was was the stopping flipping houses. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was earnings or them making that announcement or possibly both. Might have been both at the same time, actually. They might have announced their housing flipping business as a flop. Flipping and flopping on their earnings report, but this thing is just incredibly beaten up. Let me get a little more perspective on Zillow here. Last time it was at these prices. Yeah, I mean this is just back to where it was. Maybe all these stocks belong where they were trading in February 2020. Like as if the coronavirus never happened. It's just, that's all it is, right? It's just back to where it was right before the coronavirus sell-off in the marketplace. Interesting. eBay down after hours on no news. Looks, yeah, I guess it's down 50 cents or so from where it closed. I don't know why. ATVI did well today. Yeah, okay, so this is another one of these beaten up names. I should add this to the list. This ATVI has kind of had its own problems I think everyone's aware of that are specific to it, which I guess you could say the same about Zillow. Yeah, same thing with this ATVI, right? Just back to where it was right before the pandemic hit. But still, cut in half. A lot of stocks out there, down a lot. From Sam here, how significant is it that there's a divergence between the SPY and its RSI on the daily specifically? Can anyone tell me what the RSI is on the SPYs? I don't know what the RSI actually is, so I can't actually review that question for feedback. Where is Josh? He's always got that number for me. Josh, where'd you go? I guess Josh is gone. If someone's got the RSI number for me and can post it in here. Josh, what's up? Oh, it's 63.81? That's interesting, actually. It gets really oversold at 80? Is that like the big number where we're really oversold? I don't look at RSI too much. I mainly just oh, right. I'm talking about the oscillator. Yeah, well, I mean, the RSI, I'm assuming is taking breadth into account there as well. Yeah. So it's somewhat oversold, but it's not terrible. But if you look at the market's not oversold at all, right? The market's not even the way that I view overbought and oversold. We're not even close. We're not even close. We're barely not overbought, just based on a pure chart of the SPY and the Qs. So it's interesting to see that there is that deviance there, and I guess that has to do with all the things that I've been seeing, right? And this is why I don't really look at those indicators, because I'm able to see it even without it. You know, breadth has been terrible. You can see it in the IWM. I feel like this market has been excruciatingly weak for a while, and that's when I get frustrated, because I look at the SPYs and the Qs, which have just been incredibly bullish and literally made all-time highs today. And this goes back to the same concerns that I can just kind of repeat myself on, which is what happens if these indexes actually sell off. Because if they sell off, the index is hard, they're probably still going to sell everything. Yeah. Yeah. So again, it's the same thing. So just back to the same concerns that I've had. Bed Bath & Beyond catching a bid after hours? It loves to do that. Up 40 cents or so here after hours. I hope that helps, Sam. You know, again, you're seeing the same information that I'm seeing. You're just seeing it in a little bit of a different way, is what it sounds to me like. And it's definitely something that I'm really concerned with. Next year from Sebastian, can you recap what you did last Friday? Friday, man. You know, I'm an old man. My brain doesn't go back that far. I felt like there wasn't too much to trade, but maybe you found something. I don't remember trading anything that was particularly exciting on Friday. I just kind of remember having the exact same frustrations that I had on Thursday on Friday, which are the exact same frustrations that I had today, to be totally honest with you. I started kind of paring down out of some of my positions on Friday, and I did a little bit more of that actually today, just because of those concerns. But I think it's coming back to me, Sebastian. I remember specifically in the Friday morning meeting telling everybody in the VTF I wasn't planning on doing anything. That I really wasn't planning on doing anything new. I just wanted to kind of watch and manage my swing positions and possibly consider paring down some risk because of the concerns that I have been a broken record about recently. I do not like this market right now. This has been my least favorite market that I feel like I've seen in quite some time. Which doesn't mean that we can't make money from it. It's just I just want a little bit more clarity on these deviations I'm seeing between a lot of these stocks and the SPYs and the Qs. And my worst fear that I keep repeating is that the way that clarity is going to come together is just through a very broad market sell-off. I'm like more concerned about a broad market sell-off right now than I've been almost any point since March 2020. Yeah, but we'll watch the VXX as well. We'll keep an eye on the VIX to see what kind of bounce this thing has. Yeah, this was obviously really strong as the market sold off, but it looks like it was just trading the way it was supposed to. Yeah, this is VXX kind of making a little fake out low here at 11 o'clock. What did the SPY do at that time? Interesting. And it's a holiday week, too. UNFI was super strong today. Yeah, this was. Impressive. Impressive on this UNFI. This is a Stefan specialty one, right? This daily chart looks beautiful. Gotta love it. Next here I'm seeing this from Damien. The Q was making new highs, and the SPY was holding in well, while the VXX didn't put a lower low in the last couple of days. The VXX now looks like it's confirming a higher low on the daily, having some divergence. Yeah, It does look like that. And I mean, we noticed that even earlier this month. Like, we've been kind of having some of these problems here with this market for a while. And I feel like the VIX has told the story more than anything. You know, the market was going parabolic here, and the VIX was moving higher with it. But the IWM was moving with the market as well at that time. And now it's not. So I guess it makes sense to see a higher low coming in for the VXX here. But yeah, another divergence worth noting. It's kind of all this stuff, man. I'm like, you know, I haven't gone home flat in I don't know, 6 years or something like that. And I was like saying it into the VTF today, and I was like kind of half serious. Like, this market with these mixed messages, it's been a great run. I like kind of just want to liquidate the majority of my positions and reassess things and revalue this market coming into the new year. But I haven't done that yet. I say that every once in a while, and I don't seem to ever do it. Ford had a great day today too. Was Ford trading further up after hours? No. Ford had a great day, and you guys called this one out, or I think we brought this up in the morning meeting. Someone brought this up about going long versus 19, and then a buy through 20. I didn't like this buy through 20 at this time, though. I know some of you guys were already in it and booked profit into 20. I just thought it was after 10 a.m. now and had a huge move into it, and it's Ford. But Ford made a couple higher lows here and still gave some upside continuation. From Robert, little confusing question. If we are gapping up at the open and psychology of gaps is telling us that a gap up needs to sell off, but the market starts taking higher right after the opening with the gap up, are you more confident about a shooting star like we saw today? I think you're overanalyzing it, Robert, which we know you do occasionally. You know, analyzing the market gap has nothing to do with analyzing where the market's going to close that day. Analyzing the market gap is about strategy for the open, specifically. And then you got to kind of take it from there. So, you know, it's not unusual at all, and this is why I have like my 15-minute rule for my swings. It's not unusual at all, and I guess this is a little bit extreme today, but this market's kind of been a little bit wacky. It's not unusual at all on a gap that even is going to get filled for there to be higher price action for 10, 15, 20 minutes. In the same way that on a gap down that's going to eventually get filled, sometimes we see that panic selling in the first like 15 minutes. So it's definitely not unusual to see the market trying to get bid up a little bit initially. Maybe there are some shorts getting squeezed or whatever it is, some long chasers coming in, and then the profit-taking sellers turn out to be stronger, and the market pulls back and fills a percentage of its gap. Though again, today's price action I think is just a little bit wacky. You know, the Q's opening up very strong. The IWM, I remember saying this in the VTF today too. The IWM was stronger than the Qs. All of pre-market, from like, you know, 4 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. the IWM was leading the Qs by 1 degree or another, and it took literally 2 minutes of the market being open for the Qs to be stronger than the Russell again. And it was like back to the same stuff as last week, and I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe that this is happening again, where this deviation is just going wider and wider and wider between the Qs and the IWM. And then we broke the IWM opening high and recaptured 234, and I was like so confident that the IWM was going to give some strength. I was still nervous about the Qs, but then obviously, I think the IWM got taken down by the spies and Qs today more than anything else, because selling leads to selling broadly. So let's see what percentage the IWM closed down 0.4%. Q's closed down 1.2%. So I guess you do have some relative strength from the Russell today. It's just not the way I wanted to see it happen. Next here from Shane. If the TLT continues down tomorrow, yeah, so TLT was down today, so interest rates were up a bit. So another reason why the IWM should have been strong. And we did see some strength from the XLF today, which closed well, and some strength from the XLE today, which is interesting because they were pretty beaten up. Both KRE and XLF were strong today, relatively speaking. Yes. Yeah, I think so. And we saw really early on the relative strength from the banks. My concern was buying XLF into like this 39.50 to 40 area because there is a lot of resistance here. We want to see this XLF really getting above and holding above 40 bucks. But yeah, broadly, if the TLT continues down, that's what we want to expect. If the TLT, it's hard to predict what the TLT is going to do here. Again, you would think that it would go lower as tapering comes into effect for the marketplace, but in practice, it's just been sloppy, and we've been, stuck in this range here. So we're right in like the midpoint of this recent range for the TLT. So if you're talking about technicals, where should this TLT up or down tomorrow? Flip a coin. Next here from Andrew. I so seriously agree with your concerns. The tape and internals feel really off. Yep, 100%. Pat is in Massachusetts. Damien's upset that he can't see Pat in his seat. Pat's in Massachusetts, working from home with his family, so he can be with his family for the holidays. Colin is up there too. I'm here by myself. Josh is somewhere, but... Oh, man. Anybody else have anything? I know I'm kind of ranting on some frustrations a little bit today for today's meeting. I'm just this market here is definitely giving us reasons to be concerned. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be concerned if the SPY was 8% off highs. I wouldn't be concerned at all. I'd be excited, actually. I would see the SPY as 8% off highs, and I would be looking at these beaten up stocks, like stalking them, like the trade is going to be there soon. There's going to be these sick oversold bounces in some of these stocks. I'd be stalking the heck out of these beaten up names if SPYs are down 8%. My big concern is that the SPYs are at all-time highs, and these stocks are where they are. Because those oversold bounce trades and these beaten up stocks are probably not going to be able to work if the market sell-off happens or continues, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, Mike's saying I have a list of 11 beaten down names that are ready for a sweet RDR tomorrow. I get it. I want to have the same thought process, but the market is not on your side for that. Micron's very extended. This is another one here. I mean, big shooting star today. You would expect this thing to pull back further. But this is another one that I think got a ton of bull flow today. Yeah, I would expect... Micron's definitely not ready for you to come in and buy it, and you could easily have more downside price action. Is it too early to look to short everything in sight? I don't know. I mean, I kind of called out the top in this market literally perfectly today. Doesn't mean I'm happy about it, though. Natalie asking about net. Oh, this net is so gross today. Natalie, on Derrick today, this is when you want to get stopped out of this. And I don't know where you long from, but you want to get stopped out of this on Derrick today. Even if you're being loose, you're giving it to 200 or giving it to like 195 where these pivots are, or even this 192.50 pivot, you want to get stopped out of this on the break of these levels. You rode this thing all the way up. You probably have it from a great price. You traded it really well. This candle just broke this stock today. It looks bad like a lot of other things. And I think you wanted to have gotten stopped out at, at least $5 ago in net from where it closed. What about leader UPST? Well, this is another one. This is another one actually that I was looking for to see if it could give a bottoming tail, red dog reversal, Oldensmith overthrow thing, and I guess it still kind of did. Hard to have conviction with this one either. But yeah, this was on my list of names I thought was going to round up today after kind of shaking everybody out. Finally, look at the volume here on this. And this with a whole bunch of other names I thought could close decently today, and it didn't. Look at this SoFi pullback. Again, I think I said this already, but announced a secondary at 23. I expected this thing to pull back. A pullback to where? 21 bucks? Maybe $20? Not 18 quarter off that secondary. That's a heck of a pullback. SoftBank, so, oh man, that's a really interesting headline there, Mr. Bates. I didn't see that, and it's an interesting headline because we saw that headline last week that SoftBank said that they might need to get bailed out by the Bank of Japan, which I still don't even understand that. It was the SoftBank CEO or CFO maybe who came and said that. It makes sense. It doesn't make sense to me at the same time. Like, how could their investments be so bad that they're going to need a bailout when our market's at all-time highs? Yeah, it didn't seem to be correct exactly. But now we follow that headline up with them selling 22 million shares of SoFi. It's pretty crazy. Mr. Bates. Mr. Bates, have you ever seen Downton Abbey? You know, Downton Abbey 2 is coming out, second movie. I'm very excited about it. Very excited about it. I went and saw the last movie I've seen in a movie theater was the original Downton Abbey movie. I was the only person in the whole movie theater, my wife and I guess, who didn't have white hair. It was great. Anyway, Master Bates in Downton, one of my favorite characters. I sure did, Natalie. It was funny. I remember putting it on as a joke one night, and then I was instantly hooked and watched it. Oh man. Question here from the chef on BE. Yeah, BE, you definitely don't want to see it lose $28. I agree with you. $28 is your spot here, or really this low. You don't want to see this lose $27.84. All right, gang. It's Monday. It's a holiday week, so try not to be as frustrated as I feel. We will pick things up tomorrow. You know, we'll keep assessing this market because, you know, as frustrated as I feel, we still had some fantastic call-outs today, and I really hope I made and saved a lot of people some money by kind of calling out the high of the day today as it came in with the SPYs and the Qs. So hopefully guys are able to hedge themselves and put some shorts on. It sounded like a lot of you did. So that's awesome. I will see everybody tomorrow. Have a great night.